Hello everybody and welcome to Minecraft Pixelmon. Now this is going to be a series where me and a few of my friends are going to be playing this game in Minecraft, which is a change for all of us, to be honest, because I don't think most of us have played this in years. We're coming back to this for this kind of amazing mod which adds in, I think, almost every Pokemon, other than possibly some from the latest generation, which to be honest I know none of them anyway because I haven't played Pokemon since like Pearl. So, most of them are a mystery to me anyway, but they're pretty cool. And rather than just playing Pixelmon, because we didn't just want to play Minecraft and Pokemon again, we've played those games, you know, a fair few times, I feel, out of most of us. So we're doing a one-type challenge, which is something interesting and different to all of us, and actually makes the game a lot more challenging, because it means certain types just can be flat out better than us no matter what we do. Even if we pair up with different combinations, those things are still going to have an advantage against us. So it's something interesting and different and challenging, which will hopefully make the series interesting for all of you guys to watch. Now, the rest of the series is going to be kind of weird because a lot of this has been recorded before I'm recording this, which is essentially the introduction to the series. So I'm going to basically tour you around this town, which you can see a nice sort of angle of right now with the Poke Center and the Pokemart over there, and the Town Hall in the back. I'm going to show you around the whole town and where we're up to currently, and then from here we're going to go back to when we were still sort of exploring and catching Pokemon and training up. Because what we're doing in this one-type challenge is we're limited to our Pokemon, so we can only have our one type, but we're then going out into the world and fighting one of each of the randomly spawned gyms, getting the badges from each of those, and then we're going to come back to this town after probably quite a deal of time has passed as exploring and finding these gyms. We're going to come back here and then we're going to fight what is essentially the Elite Four, which I'm going to be building in sort of a separate series to this, which I'm sort of planning to almost represent sort of elementals. So each of them will have their specific one type as well, but they'll be paired up, so it'll be like water and ice, fire and steel with like a giant anvil or something like that. Or like a giant skeleton which contains dark and ghost and things like that. So that's the sort of big end game bit of the series, as we're building towards that, and we're going to fight against all of those with our one specific type and see if we can beat all of these elementals with these super powered Pokemon in these giant sort of like colossal gym type structures, which are going to be a challenge in themselves of getting through. Either my idea for the ice one was like a giant climb to the top and trying to fight things on the way up, and then getting across this giant bridge in the lava for the fire and steel. There's going to be a challenge element to them as well to make it even more challenging and even more interesting to watch. So now I'm going to throw you around this nice town and also probably talk to you a bit more about what types we've got, because I myself have been given the edgiest type in all of Pokemon, the Dark type. It is beautiful. I have just recently fully evolved a few of my types, which you'll see probably in a later episode from this, because obviously we have a bunch of footage I've already recorded to get through. But I thought I'd give you a nice sort of tour around this town as an introduction, because we've basically fully built the town now. The only thing we're really missing is like a mine, but we're kind of already past that point in the game now, so it's not really a major thing we need. But the first structure we actually started with in the town was this Pokemon Center. This was the only thing that actually naturally spawned here. Everything else we've built ourselves. Some of it not in creative mode, some of it in creative mode, because I prefer building with all of the tools accessible to me. I know that could be seen as cheating, but the main part of this series is the Pokemon, not necessarily building. The building doesn't really give us any advantage other than something like the daycare over there has stuff for breeding and stuff already built in it, which it just gives us a helping hand and allows us to actually continue with the Pokemon side of it rather than having to spend 20 episodes digging up iron to build breeding centers or whatever. So as I was saying, Pokemon Center, the first building here, was modified slightly, added in these sea lanterns to brighten it up and actually make this kind of like a beacon of light in the town originally, because this was, as I say, the first building that actually spawned here. And I added some NPCs that weren't actually here, added in some extra decoration to make the place look a little nicer, and also built the original sort of sleeping arrangements for the town up here, which were just random coloured beds. There's no significance in colours or anything. Need to come out of flying. That's the upstairs, quite nice, cozy. Some like a drinks machine, healing machines, trading, PC, everything else we needed. And then later on, I also added this section down here where you crouch into it, and this is sort of the tutorial section, because rather than having to go through and tell everybody how to make everything every single time somebody new joined the server, what I instead did was create this room down here, just to sort of teach people the actual useful Pokeballs, in my opinion, which are these four, and then also the bases, how to make the hammer, which you need to turn them into the actual tops and bottoms, which you then make into the Pokeball. And there's also these furnaces either side of here to actually cook up all of your things, to actually make these, because you need to cook basically everything. And then there's a little ender chest here which just contains all of my crafting stuff. And as you can see, I've just beaten a gym before I started recording this as well. But yeah, that was the first structure we built, and then Tom joined me. He is the rock type trainer, which he was a little niffed about when he first got it, but he seems to have warmed to it, and this is just his nice little home, sort of more like a storage cabin, I guess. And he built all that legitimately, went down and punched some trees and built this whole nice thing. And then I put him a nice little onyx statue on the roof to kind of represent his type a little better. And then we also decided to build this dock next to it because over there is a naturally spawning ghost tower, which just spawns ghost type Pokemon, which is perfect for me because I have a type advantage against them. And I can just go over there and farm. So we would build some boats, and we're constantly sailing backwards and forwards to go and kill Pokemon over there because they just spawn. So we built this dock to sort of house it and make things look a little nicer. And then we built the farm. Well, Tom built the farm, I sort of decorated it. And this provides basically the food source for everybody else in the town. And it's quite a nice, well-sustaining farm, to be honest. It's basically always fully grown. It seems to grow really fast, which I don't really remember happening in Minecraft, but there we go, we have plenty of food. And then the next structure, which I actually started building, was the Pokemon, because again, this didn't spawn in the town, but I felt like we needed a shop to be able to buy things from and spend the currency we were earning from beating trainers and stuff that naturally spawn. So I built this nice little space. Occasionally the bookcases do seem to go missing in this building, and I'm not really sure why. But yeah, this one I believe sells HMs, and this one sells the basic items, Pokeballs, potions, like burn heals and things like that. I think it possibly revives as well, but I think they're quite expensive. And then I built my house over here, which I went for more of a modern look. It's 2 floors, and the top floor is the actual usable sort of one, you know, like living room quarters. My sort of original desired team, which I may end up changing, to be honest, because I've had some thoughts about how I want to redo that, but my Crocodile, Darkrai, Houndoom, Bishop, whatever Dino's fully evolved form is, and that I've actually forgot what that's called. It's a water dark type though, which I thought was going to be quite advantageous, but I've got a but again, that just links back to the Pokeball thing, so I could make them from here and there. Like, I could store them here and it... creative mode and using some console commands. Basically what this does is give me quick access to the Pokemon. Another hidden thing in here, because I'm the dark type trainer, I would want one of those statues as well, because you'll see in a minute that pretty much everybody in the building, but because of being the dark trainer, I wanted to sort of hide it a little more and make it a little more, well, dark and kind of mysterious, so I built this whole thing underground, which is basically just housing for the Darkrai statue. But this is just this really dark kind of intentionally... Well, it's supposed to be kind of like a creepy sort of coffin type tomb deal. And it's got statues, almost skeletons, of all the bad guys from the previous Pokemon games. Magma and Aqua and Plasma, Team Rocket, Galactic and everybody else down here. And it's also got some jail cells with living members of those sort of evil teams. And then a statue of Darkrai in the back with a pulsing light on it. And a little sort of book to Darkrai or whatever. Yeah, I wanted to create something kind of more mysterious and dark and kind of still matching my type, and also sort of possibly conveying some sort of weird background plot thing that I was sort of toying with. But we'll see if that ends up coming to pass. And moving out of my house, we also have the town hall, which was the next thing I built. It has some basic sort of decorations outside, and a couple NPCs added in. So there's like a receptionist, and then there's the actual mayor upstairs. There's like a speech room there. There you go. This is just the basic town hall structure, just to really, I guess, hammer home that sort of Pokemon town thing of having this giant Pokeball symbol at the back. I think it brings the whole town together, to be honest. And over here, this nice sort of glass house is Mog's house, who you may know from pretty much everything recent up on this channel and on my streams, pretty much. And she is, as you can probably guess, the electric type trainer, so she's got access to quite a lot of really cool, powerful Pokemon, in my opinion. And as I mentioned before, this is the daycare center here, which I built almost to try and match the one from like the original games and Let's Go and stuff, which has sort of like a pink and dark wood design from what I remember, and there's some statues in here to represent like Pokemon roaming around in the pen, and there's breeder people over there you speak to on the way in, supposedly like hand off your Pokemon to. And then down here we have an egg hatching track, which is just for if you're AFK, if you're on the server but you know you have to go and do something, whatever, you can come down here with your eggs. As long as that's down, this constantly loops you around. And then if you pull this lever on your way round, it then stops you and you reach back to this point so you can get off again. And Jose here is supposed to give you sort of the tutorial to that, and Jose is the randomly generated name for him. It never changed. And then down here, I have to do that very quickly because it had to be sectioned off for some reason, and I've actually gotten stuck in the wall. Yeah, this for some reason couldn't extend all the way down properly. I had to section it off into 2 bits, so you have to double shift very quickly to get down here. Basically, there's the breeding pen for all of the types in here. There's Dark, Ghost, Electric, Ice. These 3 cover a lot of types. That is mostly Rock and that's mostly Ground over there, but these 3 seem to cover a lot. This is also Poison and Bug and a bunch of others. Obviously, this one is Water with my mouth. I don't know how much people are wanting to do that. I've done it a couple times. I got a really good Scorpy because it evolves into a Dark Poison type from the grass over there. And I was trying to evolve a Gyarados, which I could Mega Evolve into a Water Dark type, which would be a pretty cool sort of thing to swap out. If I know I'm going to go and fight like a Rock or Fire gym, I could bring in a Mega Gyarados rather than my current Water type, which would be an interesting change, I feel. And can sort of continue. Wow, okay, I'm assuming that's a legendary that's just spawned in there. But yeah, there's also another portal, which I went to originally to go and get these recipe bits to make the EXP share. But it turns out the recipe for the EXP share has been removed from the game, so that entire portal and all the time I spent gathering all the obsidian for that legitimately was completely bloody wasted, because you can't even get the stuff, you have to get it from a legendary, which I then sat and farmed legendaries to get one, which took forever, and now means I have a crap load of like Mega Evolution orbs and crap just in my basement that I can't use because they're not for any of my types. But you know, continuing on, we have a nice little gazebo I built back here just because there was a pond and I thought it'd be kind of nice to have. There's also apparently a bit of mail on the floor. And I also built an orchard very early on. Originally it was just red apricorns because that's all we had access to. But this just allows us to constantly keep making Pokeballs that we need. I went out and gathered a bunch of the other colours to bring back. Blue is used a lot, as you can imagine. Blue is used for Quick Balls and Great Balls. And then black and yellow is used for Ultra. Green and black's for Dusk, I believe, as well, which is obviously quite useful for me. If anybody else needs different coloured apricorns for their specific type balls, then that's sort of on them to go out and gather them, really, at this point. What we also have over here is the lab which I built to house some of the machines that Tom was building because he went out and got a bunch of fossils. So he built the fossil machines which are in here, and I built this entire structure basically just to house those. And added a bunch of NPCs and things to try and make this place look a little nicer. And then if we go upstairs in here, this place is kind of empty currently. There's not really any point to this room. Eventually we may end up putting like fossil displays in here, which is an idea that Carl came up with. But the original idea for this room was for the cloning machine if we want to produce Dittos or try and produce Mewtwo. But I don't think any of us can actually use Mewtwo, but it is like an option for us to just do that at some point if we decide to do that. Now over here, this big structure is Kyle's house that he started building the other day. He is the ghost type trainer and has this lovely giant tree house thing that he built. And there you go, Kyle's house. If you come up inside, it has this nice little thing and a little way into it. Quite a nice big open house, and it has like a diving board to get back down again, which I think is quite a nice way of doing that, to be honest. One thing I did miss on the way around was this over here, which is the notice board. Now both of these actually need getting rid of, because now all we have to do is get full teams and fight the gyms. Those are the next objectives for us. The footage that is going to be coming on after this and for the next few episodes, I'm not sure where we're at in that footage now, but I believe most of it probably will be us training up to get ready to this point to be able to go out and fight the gyms and eventually move on to fighting the Elite Four stuff, which may be out there in this world very soon.